welcome to our program David Buono. David's with the Pennsylvania Insurance Department, and I'm excited to have him join us tonight. Some of you may have been on last year when Dave joined us and focused on auto insurance. He's back again with a broader focus tonight. Dave, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can. Awesome. I am going to send controls over to you, sir.
All right. Let me show my screen and let me move that over there. Can you see the odd-looking screen, Hillary?
I can, and I know you're going to explain to folks why they're seeing the presenter view.
I could do that. I will definitely do that. So this presentation is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be showing the presenter notes throughout the entire time that I'm speaking. The purpose behind this information is, I hope to be able to share this slideshow with you as something that you can eventually use in the classroom. Just like Insurance 101 for Teen Drivers last year, this is something that I'm hoping that you can go on. It'll be a free resource to help you educate students about insurance. What you're going to be seeing this evening is very rough because, I believe that Insurance 101 for Teen Drivers was a success because I got a lot of feedback from teachers. So that's what tonight is. It's to get some feedback on it, to try to figure out if I'm hitting the right things, if I'm not hitting the right things, if you'd like to see a little bit more information. So, at the very end, I believe as part of the survey, we're going to ask if there are additional items that you'd want to see. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first slide. And the first slide that I put in here is why buy insurance. Actually, I've been to multiple schools throughout the state, and I've had more than one student ask, why should I even buy insurance? So, I wanted to put in there, why buy insurance? And you don't buy insurance because you plan to be in a car accident, hurt yourself, or have a house fire. You buy insurance to protect against potential risk. Now, what I did throughout this slideshow is here I have potential risk, and then I define, do you have the money to rebuild at your house, or do you have the money to buy a new car after an accident, or to pay for a long hospital stay? Insurance is about protecting yourself and your family from potential financial loss. So I get into a little bit of defining things, and you'll be seeing things shifting on the side as well. So I always like a little bit of history before you get too far into insurance. And I do want to thank Hillary for sending me some great information from Chris Bertelsen, who's a senior economic education specialist for the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. So let's start talking about the Babylonians. So believe it or not, insurance has been around since the 18th century BC. Hammurabi's Code, and that's kind of like as you can see over here, I go into a little bit of detail about the code, and it's more famous for its eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth approach, but there were actually 282 laws, and they range from assault and theft and offering basic insurance. So if there was a catastrophe that happened, the borrower would not have to pay back the loan. So that's the beginning stages of insurance. So then I wanted to get into the Middle Ages where group insurance was introduced, and that's where it covers a group of people. And then it talks about guilds, an association of people with similar pursuits. So over here I give a little bit of more information. If the bad things happen, the guild would pay for costs to rebuild or help family affected by the loss. Because many people paid into the fund, it made a pool of money larger than the spread of risk. So that's where we start talking about the risk pools that exist today. So spreading the risk among a large group of contributors, and that is how the insurance companies can pay those risks at less of a cost. I always also want to make sure that students know that the things that they learn in class could actually be used with insurance. So, insurance and math. So it was Pascal and Fermat that introduced the concept of risk based on the probability. So that's actually actuary science. So they actually used math to calculate risk, and insurance companies actually use that today. So all those students that you have that love math, actuary sciences might be someplace that they can go. And then finally, I put about, who founded America's oldest continuously active insurance company, and that was Ben Franklin and his fellow firefighters who found the Philadelphia Contributorship for Insurance of Houses from Loss by Fire, and that is actually the name of the entire contributorship. So very long name, but it's also known as just the contributorship. And then I couldn't help but comment, is there anything that Ben Franklin didn't do? One interesting thing about the contributorship is that they actually created standards for housing because it refused to insure houses that were considered a fire hazard. So this contributorship eventually led to building codes. So I always think that those things are interesting. And once again, we have plenty of notes down here saying where we got the images from and websites and et cetera. Here I think is a good spot to kind of have the students name some different types of insurance. So I put auto, homeowners/renters, health, life, annuities, workers' compensation, long-term care, disability, flood, Medicare, Medicaid, CHIP, and there's so many more. And for this presentation, I actually focused on the big three, the auto, the homeowners, and the health insurance. Now, some of you may have had the ability to use the Insurance 101 for teen drivers. If you have the time and you want to sit down with the students and actually really go through auto insurance, I would absolutely recommend this. So if you have a class period, the Insurance 101 for teen drivers is probably something that you want to use. And if presenting about auto insurance isn't something that you want to do, I have my information at the end. I am happy to come out to the schools and talk to students about insurance. But this Insurance 101 for teen drivers has definitions, it has a quiz, it has a worksheet, a presentation with presenter notes. It's made to be curriculum for you to use, and it's free. It's on our webpage, which I'll give it to you at the end, but it's insurance.pa.gov, and it's also on InsureU from the NAIC. All of it is free to use. And actually, the information is also on the SAS portal for the teachers that use that with the Department of Education. Now, if you don't have a full class period to talk about insurance, I included some of the auto insurance slides in this presentation. So we get into talk a little bit more about insurance is a legal contract between you and a company. You pay a premium. We define premium on the side, but then we also provide information here, what you pay the insurance company for covering your risk. Payment could be weekly, monthly, every 6 months, or even once per year. The idea is you pay a little now to avoid paying a lot later. As we go through these definitions, and as I click claim, you'll see a brief definition on the side, and then you'll also see a little bit more information here. Same thing with losses, limits, and deductibles. So the things that are defined over here have a little bit more meat and potatoes in the notes. So we get into what is covered. So we talk about comprehensive. It pays for theft or damage to your car. Pretty much comprehensive is things that are not a collision. You got to love legal folks defining things with words that you don't necessarily know what they are. We have collision. And over here we have the comprehensive. We have collision. We have bodily injury on both sides. Medical coverage, property damage, uninsured, and underinsured. These are defined, and it actually gets into, what is required by state law, what the limits are, what property damage pays for, what uninsured motorist pays for, etc. We get into who is covered. So drivers, the operator of insured auto, and any licensed person who has permission to drive. That's always a good one because everybody always says, man, you can't drive my car. You're not on the insurance. If you have permission, for the most part, it's okay. So it's good to tell students that just in case they happen to be someplace they shouldn't be, they can let somebody else drive if they need to. Passengers and pedestrians. Once again, we get into all of the different definitions on the side. And we also talk about what happens if the at-fault driver, well, they get medical benefits. But if they hurt people that are in the car, well, they get medical benefits and they get bodily injury. So we try to explain that claims process because claims and insurance is confusing. We also talk about how to buy it. So we talk about what a quote is up top and on the side, who an agent is, and we actually get into independent agents and captive agents. And we talk about direct insurance, where you buy it on the internet or you call the 1-800 number. And we give some pros and cons. You know, whenever I talk to students about it, because they always want to know which one's better, you know, as far as I'm concerned, as long as the folks that are selling those insurance policies are licensed with the state of Pennsylvania, I'm happy. It really boils down to the comfort level that you have when you're purchasing insurance. Do you understand what collision is and comprehensive is and what limits are? If you understand those things, well, you might be able to do direct and feel just comfortable. Or if you like seeing people in person, the agent might be the way to go. From there, I slide into homeowners insurance, and I also include renters because renters insurance is actually kind of a form that is under homeowners insurance. We'll talk about what renters is later. So we talk about what homeowners insurance is, and just in case you decide not to go over those auto, we define premium again and loss, and oops, I went a little bit fast, and we go into, do I need to buy homeowners insurance? See, in Pennsylvania, it's illegal to drive without auto insurance. You don't need to buy homeowners insurance, but a lot of times your bank is going to make you buy it, so you may not have a choice in the matter because technically it's the bank's house until you pay it off. I still don't know why people wouldn't buy homeowners insurance because it would make me feel comfortable that I could replace my home if something happened, but, you know. So what is covered? We talk about what a dwelling is and what a peril is, so the cause of possible loss like a fire. We get into a little bit on the side here what a replacement cost is. So it's the amount to replace and rebuild and the actual cash value. There are different kinds of policies that sometimes confuse people. So we try to put that information in there so that it's easier to explain. We also talked about what other structures are and what's covered. Personal property, so your stuff. Loss of use, so if something goes wrong, a place to stay. And personal liability, if somebody gets hurt on your property. Once again, those things are defined as things are underlined. And I would plan on having a glossary along with this presentation. So what is not covered? So once again, we talk about policy and how it's a legal contract, and we mention the word exclusion. So those are things in the policy that says what's not covered. We also listed on the side here some common things that are not covered, like flood, mold, sinkholes, fungus, wet rot, dry rot, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and then always at the end, be sure to talk to your agent or insurance company about exclusions. You always want to know what you're buying and what is covered and what is not. I think that's important for everybody to know. So what is renter's insurance? So this is something that the students will most likely have sooner rather than later. And what renter's insurance, your landlord's homeowner's insurance does not cover your belongings. And believe it or not, that sounds like it's common sense, but I've actually rented to people before that had no idea. And they didn't know that renter's insurance existed. So it's a good thing to get out to students while they're young and they know, okay, I can get that. The great thing about renter's insurance, for a small premium, you can save a lot of money and protect your stuff. Now, I have information in here on health insurance, and if you watch the news, things could change. So this is the material that we have now, and if in a couple of months things change with health insurance, of course I would work through and update that and let you all know that it's been updated. So, you know, why do we need health insurance? For students, sometimes it's hard to understand because maybe they don't get sick all the time, or maybe they don't get hurt all the time. But, you know, I try to make sure that they understand that life is full of surprises. Insurance helps you prepare for that unexpected illness or slip on ice. Even if you look healthy, you may not be getting the routine care you need to identify things unexpected, such as preventive services, routine lab work, immunizations. And what I have here is what it costs without insurance. So if you break your arm, it could be $7,500 without insurance. If you have to stay at the hospital, $10,000 a day. So trying to let the students know, do you have that kind of money just sitting, you know, aside to pay for it? That's a lot of money. Over here I get into a little bit more detail, as mentioned before, about the slides themselves, what's covered. These things are covered through the ACA. Once again, things could change, and when they do, I'll be sure to let you know. How do I know which plan to choose? This gets confusing for people, just even if you aren't on an ACA plan, just health insurance in general. So the question that you want to ask, do I need access to a specific doctor or other care provider? Do I need specific medical services or prescription drugs? What mix of cost and fees would work for me? In this slide here, I gave some notes, and this is a good time to talk about primary care providers. So what is an HMO, or what is a PPO? And it's actually defined in the paragraph here, so you can sit down with the students and actually explain to them what the differences are. Do you need access to a specific doctor or other care provider? So here we talk about in-network and out-of-network. Talk about the plan provider network and the directories. Now those directories should always be up to date, because that's something that Commissioner Miller absolutely is checking on with insurance companies, so that when folks are looking at their insurance policy, they understand which providers are in the directory. Do you need specific medical service and prescription drugs? So this is where we're going to talk a little bit more about, well, what is a formulary, and what are this summary of benefits of coverage? Click here. So summary of benefits of coverage is a short, easy to understand summary of benefit plans and coverage. Go into a little bit more detail on the side. And then what is a formulary? That's the list of drugs covered under an insurance plan. So once again, go into a little bit more detail on the side. So what mix of cost and fees work for you? Your monthly insurance bill is called a premium. We've talked about that now 3 times. The other costs, co-pays, which are the fees charged at the time that you receive a service. Deductibles, did not you pay first before your insurance company pays for care. Co-insurance, it's like the co-pay, but it's percent. And the out-of-pocket limits, it's the most that you're going to pay. Right here on the side, we get into a little bit more detail about the explanation of benefits. And then remember the trade-off between monthly costs and the cost you pay when you receive care. That means that generally insurance plans with low premiums have high deductibles and out-of-pocket limits, and vice versa. So trying to get people thinking about the cost associated. So if I have a high deductible, the premium might be lower. If I have a low deductible, premium might be higher. And here's just a little graph that talks a little bit more about out-of-pocket costs, because that really does confuse a lot of folks. Here is our information. Hopefully everybody has heard of us, and if you haven't, we are the regulators of insurance company here in the state of Pennsylvania. We make sure that everybody has the money to be paying the claims. We make sure that they're following the rules. If you ever have problems with your insurance company, you can reach out to us and we can help. Here's our home page. On our home page, we actually have a full auto guide. We have a full annuities guide. Our homeowner's guide should be done sometime this month. All the materials that we have is free. You can use it, and the nice thing about the insurance department is we're not selling anything. We don't sell insurance. We're just trying to educate consumers on it and be there if you need us. So absolutely check out our page. We're also on Facebook and we're on Twitter. We do cool videos on Facebook. Sometimes we'll burn stuff. Like we burned a Christmas tree at the during the holiday season to show folks how fast a dry Christmas tree will burn. We talk to state troopers so we can talk about what to do in a car accident and then what the police expect in a car accident. So we do a lot of things like that. So be sure to take a little time, check us out, and then as Hillary had mentioned, I believe earlier, if you would ever like me to come out to the school to talk to students about insurance, I'm always happy to do so. I'm absolutely interested in hearing any and all feedback on the insurance the information that I have now. If there's something I should remove, let me know. If there's something I should add, let me know. I tried to keep it into a class period type time frame, but let me know if there's the good, the bad, the ugly. There's my name. There's my email address, buono@pa.gov, and here is my phone number. And with that, Hillary, I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, thanks, Dave. I thought that was great. Lots of really good information shared with our participants. I'm going to open it up for questions. I haven't seen any come in, but hopefully a few of you will provide some feedback. I'd love to get your thoughts on what Dave just shared and answer any questions that you have. Dave, one of our teachers, Bonnie, just said, thank you for the great information, the notes on your slide, and for making it seem user-friendly for a layman. So I know, as you mentioned, and I've certainly found in my time with a lot of educators, insurance seems to be one of the not necessarily most challenging topics to cover, but it seems to be something that, as you said, it's sometimes hard to make it exciting. And unfortunately, I've also found that it seems to be one of the topics where there's just not as much good stuff out there on it. I don't know if it's just because it's not as exciting and isn't usually the first topic everybody thinks of, but it's great to have some help for folks. Another teacher thanking you, saying, love that you're available and offering to come to schools. So okay. I would certainly encourage folks to do that. About how far in advance do you usually think, is it best to try and schedule with you? And are there any limitations, like on how far you can drive, or if teachers, have 3 or 4 classes throughout the day, are you able to stay and do most of those, or what are your thoughts on that?
All great questions. So far, I do not have any limitations on how far I drive. I've actually been out past Pittsburgh, out in the West Allegheny area. I've been up in Clearfield. I've been out over in Philadelphia. So there really isn't a limit as of right now as to where I can drive. Now if things change with the budget and everything, I may have to adjust that. But as of right now, I'm okay to travel. In regards to classes, I like doing multiple classes, but if one class is what you have, we can talk about that. But there was one school, I cannot remember the school for the life of me, but I think I did 6 classes. And then another school, I had done 6 classes as well, but they combined them into 3. So I'm flexible to whatever the school is flexible with. And what was really cool, about a month ago, Commissioner Miller actually went out and did Insurance 101 with one of the classes. So we want to make sure that we're available. The insurance department in the past really hasn't gotten out as much as we would have liked, and it is really a top priority of Governor Wolf and Commissioner Miller that we are out educating consumers. So, Hillary, was there a third part of that I rambled through?
I think you got all of them. One other thing that might just be something to think about. I know I've done a couple of virtual presentations where schools that have the technology and have been able to use. I've Skyped into classrooms and those kinds of things. So I would just encourage the teachers that are on the line to think about ways to bring both you in and maybe even others. I think there are some others within state government that would also be able and willing. The Department of Banking and Securities has guest speakers as well. So I think it's a fantastic resource, and I hope that lots of our teachers will take advantage of it.
And I've used Skype before, but I've never done it for Insurance 101. So if any teachers out there want to give it a whirl, I'd be happy to try it out, see how it goes.
It's pretty fun, and offline I'd be happy to give you my thoughts on what it's like to teach high schoolers through a video camera. But it works, and sometimes it saves on the drive time. So. Well, thank you, Dave. I really appreciate it, and glad that you were able to be on with us this evening and take time from your night to be here with us. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Again.